this true equals just big wins. And that's why we were set up. So we're unambiguously about small business. And since 77, you can imagine, because we're representing small, we often don't have a lot of money. And so we weigh, sometimes we have a few staff, other times we've got none. But at the moment we're in a really good position because I think most politicians and a lot of people understand the importance now of small business, not just to the economy, but to a range of things I'll go through. I'm wearing a thing here called Go Local First. It's not very big. And it's a campaign that we're running at the moment. We're working with the RDAs and others about making sure at the end of all this that we're going through, this strange time we all live in, that small businesses survive. Right? And if we're not careful, the big businesses will come in and take over because they've got resources, they can manage losses for a while, etc. And what we're doing is telling people why it's important. And we get economists, laissez-faire economists, I don't know if you know what that means, it means idiots, maybe. We get them and they say, look, it'll be fine, just let the market decide. And we say, yeah, well, you know nothing about life, right? Because in the world, small businesses aren't just about jobs, as important as they are. It's also about community and society. So all across the nation, sporting teams rely on small businesses. You go to the local locals, around the edge, the signs of the plumber or whoever it is, that's where the money comes from. And who sits on the board of a lot of sports clubs? It's small business people. I don't know if anybody here does that. It's small business people. Local charities get money from small business, and quite often small and medium businesses, they will sit on the board, they give back. And when you say that to people, they go, yeah, you're right, that's, in actual fact, that's why they're important. Besides the job, which is obvious, it's the other thing. Schools get donations from small business for their rewards nights. When you have events, I was up here years ago at a snowball, is what it's called. Mm-hmm. This is in 1992. It was fantastic. But anyway, and it was all these sorts of things that happened, and they happened, it wasn't big, but so often communities like this ends up out small. So when I took over the job in 2010, one of the things I said to the people that I was working with is I'm going to act more like this. I come out of the union, that was on the executive Australian Workers Union. He left in the end because he said, oh, we can decide among ourselves. Sounds normal. But, so I understand who people are. Right? And small businesses are. I spent my whole time saying, hang on, you're talking about a person. You're talking about a human being. You're not talking about an economic unit that gets easily statistical returns. It's a human being you're talking about. And we've bent that from day one saying, you'll just ask that human being to do 100 different things, or 10 different things. And you think they should do it, and they say things like, yeah, but you shouldn't go in if you can't do it, you shouldn't start a business if you can't do it. They don't say it a second time, because that's just disgraceful to even say that, because these people have run business, so they've got no idea. I was talking before about, I did a meeting once with the CFO from Coles, my fellow, and we were talking about something, and he said, Peter, you know, he said, my brother-in-law runs a business, and he said he get someone to do something for him. I can't remember, it wasn't something minor in the CFO's mind. He said he should do it himself. I don't understand this. He said, only take 5 minutes. So that will take 5 minutes, and then this will take 5 minutes, that will take 10, that will take 5, that will take 15. That'll take 5, this will take 5. Now you've got staff to do it all for you. If you had to do it, would you be happy? And it's like, you don't get it. So we've spent a lot of time talking with politicians, etc., and with people involved in mental health about the needs of small business people. There's 2.3 million of us in Australia, 900,000 of us employ about between 4.5 and 5 million other people. So without us, they don't have a job. And most small business people, to go and get a case study with small business people, so if media want a case study, they'd love to talk to you and find out what you're doing and how you're doing it. And most small business people say, well, no, but they say that you give $100,000 a year to charities. You know, I don't do that for the publicity, I do it because that's the right thing to do. paid late? I should say, does anybody here not get paid late? And so when we first started a campaign about paying on time, we got the classic stories and, well, that business, get over it. And as I say, they don't say it a second time because that's just dumb. And I sit there and say, okay, this is a person who cannot pay their own bills because you, BHP, you, whoever you are, billions of dollars won't pay them. It got to the point where Frontera, you know Frontera? I know they've changed, I hope. They went out to their supply chain and they said, right, we're pushing our supply payments out now to 90 days and eventually will be 120. Fantastic, that's good for business. But, wait for it, we understand that could make things hard for you. So we're willing to lend you some money at very good interest rates until we pay them. But can you believe that? How is that not believable? I will take your money, basically, and then lend you your money at low interest rates till I pay you your money. So these are the sorts of things that we've had to get out there and really get people to understand. So to do that, we've been very vocal in the media. We've attacked anybody that we've attacked. And we also praise people that are worth praising. And that's the difference, is praising people isn't something you see a lot of groups or advocacy groups do. But if the government does something we think is good, we will praise them. And governments do things that, look at JobKeeper. We've got an extraordinary thing in the middle of the crisis to all of a sudden have this completely flawed process. I mean, anybody here that's used it knows how difficult it was, but how wonderful was it to have it turn up out of nowhere and have it happen. And just on JobKeeper, if I can say, what made it happen was two things. The Australian Taxation Office, I'm sure it's like that, but they were extraordinary. The people I know, they work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day at least, putting this together, and then you have the software developers, a lot of them small businesses, and they, within 18 days, have developed the software in Xero and Miles and all the other software programs, so that we, at the other end, the employer, could have it work for us. It's quite extraordinary to see what happened. It was driven by small business and the need to look after small business. This crisis has brought out the best in a lot of people. I've had a few people say over the last few months, it restored their faith in human nature. Interesting, isn't it? And I've had more people say that than the other. And I've been on the industrial relations working groups that have been run, I don't know if you're aware of them. There's something called faith in human nature, industrial relations. But everybody else, most markets, most consumers and patrons have been really good. Small business, I think that's a fair comment, I hope. Business people have just been extraordinary in the way they've changed, the way they've done things, the way they've looked after their employees in the main. There's always idiots, but it hasn't been many. This crisis has shown who we are as a society, and the small business community has grown. We are 96% of all businesses. As I say, we employ more people get their income through small business than through big, and we're actually now working with big business to say, okay, we know where we disagree. We're going to send a message out there where we agree. It's really important that people know that there's a lot of agreement that's happening here. As I say, this Go Local First, the government came to us, the federal government, and said, we can't communicate the way you do with small business. We need to let people know it's good to go and support your local butcher or whatever. And it's working. The butchers of Australia in communities have increased their sales. Anybody here from butchers? Right. You'd have one in Canada. Please say this. But they've increased their sales. Now, if you've got a butcher shop in the CBD of the city, you haven't. Sales have disappeared. But out in the suburbs, they've increased. Bookshops, I come out of the book industry. I own a bookshop in Canberra. Anybody know Smith's Alternative Bookshop? It was a bookshop. Anyway, so I owned that for many years, and then I put a wine bar in there. In the end, because various reasons, the government began removing all the car parks. And putting the wine bar in was brilliant. If I had a good day, at the end of the day, I had wine. But a bad day,
had a wine.
Good day was Chardonnay, bad day was Shiraz. And average day I would have a small bit of But that was an interesting experience, and I employed people and those sorts of things as well. So it's really important that we know who we are and what we do, and most politicians, and we challenge them, they go, I love my small business people, I hope they vote for them. Right? They understand community. A lot of people in peak economies do not. I've had someone who heads up a chamber of commerce, a peak chamber of commerce, not a community one, very different. And he said to me one day, he said, Peter, the best thing about small business is when one falls over, there's another one there to take its place. And I thought, you bastard. This is a human being that's going through an awful time. Anybody that's closed a business down knows it's no fun. No fun. And you're saying how good that is. And so he didn't say it again what was about me. And you get other people who make these statements. And the beauty of it is that we're challenging them, we've done it for a long time, and people are getting it. Slowly but surely. Everybody in this room is not a statistic. Everybody here is a business, well, everybody is a business person. So, thus we're running this campaign. Thus with workplace relations, we're saying you've got to make it easy, because at the moment you cannot get it right. Nobody can get workplace relations right. I don't know if you know who Morris Blackburn are. They're the union's solicitors, and they couldn't get it right. They had to pay back their employees millions of dollars. ABC got it wrong, Wesfarmers got it wrong, Tim Costello was the chair of a charity, they got it wrong and had to pay millions of dollars back. You cannot get it right. The only people that want to keep it the way it is are the unions and industry associations who make money out of complexity. They're the ones who want to make life hard for the rest of us, because they make money. So we're challenging that. Interesting to see that ends up in the future. The areas around taxation. By the way, I think the tax office is awesome. I don't expect anybody else. You agree?
Yeah, I can't believe how kind they are.
You ring them up and they, like, you'd be very unlucky to get a dumb tax office.
Yeah.
And it's normal behaviour, by the way, because they take our money. But I just think they're awesome. Most of our Australia has one of the best public services in the world, and one of the reasons that my organisation is being listened to is because we make those statements. Right? They're not perfect, none of them claim to be perfect, but they are, and I've been around, I've travelled with the World Bank and the old Soviet Union, I've done work in China and Turkey, and I've seen the Canadian public service, which is very good. The New Zealand one, which is very good. The rest, really quite average. The Germans make people very Germanic. The Irish, that's always good. The British, it's all about bureaucracy. The Australian public service, for all its faults, is very, very good. And when you look at the rest of our society, it's very good. So a couple of years ago, when everybody was attacking Australia, the unions were saying that, you know, the worst thing that can happen to an Australian is they get a job. You know, it's the worst thing ever. They'll go backwards from there. So we went out, my board and members said, no, go out and tell the truth. They went on our wages. We're actually in the top 10 of the world. Our average wage is the highest. Our conditions are very good. There's some dodgy employers, but 95, 96, 98% of them aren't. There's employees that steal from other employees, but most don't. In actual fact, it's very good. You come up to Jindabyne, what a great place. I mean, I haven't been here, I apologise, for quite a while. But you know, you drive to Australia, it's awesome. You know a bad town, you drive into it, don't you? You think, what's wrong with this place? And you keep driving, but then you stop at all these other places. So we're a great country, and we want to now work to get us back to where we were in the beginning. It's not perfect, as I say, there's lots of stuff the small business has to change. Their treatment of us in the mental health area is disgraceful. In that we, for some reason, for too many people, we don't count as human beings. Our mental health does not count. And it's got to count. If I employ 4 people, I bet you they're pretty concerned about my mental health. And I'm concerned about theirs. The social, the authority, the involvement, this sort of thing. So hopefully, I mean, I'll control for another 2 hours. I can take questions, but I just want to give you that background that there is a group, and I should say our members are associations. One of the things we say, don't try and communicate with small business, you will fail. There's 2 million, over 2 million of us, and don't communicate with small business, communicate with booksellers, communicate with bookkeepers, communicate with owner drivers, communicate with a retailer. We are all different, and if I ran my bookshop and I lost my licence, I would have been happy. My partner would have been very unhappy. But if I was an owner driver and I lost my that's my business. So communicate to me about keeping my licence and about safety on the road and about those things. As a bookseller, I was interested in what the customer wanted. I was interested in customer service. As a plumber, as a tradie, it's a different, each trade sector talks differently, has their own way of communicating. So don't communicate with small business, communicate with the different sectors and the people in it. And you'll get a result. We have regional development organisations around Australia now who are very connected to their community, to their regions. And for a long time, we've talked before, we've gone through a stage in Australia where it's been centralised decision making, where people in Canberra, Sydney, Melbourne, not just Canberra, will make decisions on our behalf. And sometimes we don't take it. And we've been pushing really big time saying no. Let people in Jindabyne make the decisions they need to make if they wish to about their community. Let them do that, because if you get it wrong sitting in Sydney, your kids don't suffer. In fact, you probably get through a public service, you probably get promoted, you know. But you don't suffer if you get it wrong. If they in Jindabyne make a decision about the main street, about whatever it is, about the tourist season, about whatever it is that's important, and they get it wrong, they're going to fix it. They're probably not going to get it wrong, they're going to back. But you can get it wrong sitting in an ivory tower in Sydney. So we're really pushing through regional development organisations, etc., empower people in the local community, empower business communities to have a greater say in their economy. This is your economy here, and if you have lots of really good economies around Australia, the national economy is fine. But you can make a decision in Treasury in Canberra, and it could be good for Jindabyne, bad for Geelong, so for Albany, and whatever for Gladstone and Queensland. You've got to empower those communities to respond to whatever that is, so that they can take advantage of the good and manage the bad and do those sorts of things. So that's what we're here for, is to make sure that there is recognition of community, there is recognition of business communities, recognition of local business groups, and the power of them, and recognition that we're all people. So I hope, is that what you want to do?
One question, can you talk more about the local program?
Yeah, so first of all, there's lots of Go Local campaigns around Australia. It's fantastic. Some local governments are doing this, regional development organisations. Have you got some doing their own?
Yeah, some of the chambers are doing their own.
And some chambers, etc. So what this is, it's $5 million the Feds gave us, and they said go out and promote Go Local. Promote the fact that you've got to go to small business, and it's not about the economy. It's about understanding. It's about its understanding. So the punter goes, yeah, okay, if I go to a big business hall, then that dollar I spend, quite a large amount of that dollar goes to shareholders in Sydney or wherever. Whereas if I go to the butcher, most of that money's going to stay here. It'll be wages, it'll be purchased locally, it'll be whatever it is. So that's an understanding, and the sports team will have a name on the back of the shirt next year. Friends and mates or whatever it is. So it's getting that understanding out there. So the biggest audience I've got at the moment are the policymakers. To have them understand that, and because I've got to say, most punters, most consumers in Australia seem to get that. They seem to understand it. It may be, not necessarily dearer to go and buy in butchers. It's actually spending the money on a lot more than just a nice bit of steak. Not just quite a nice bit of steak. So that is what it's about. So we've got advertising campaigns, we've got a big social media campaign, which is the way we've done these days. We've spent money on some of the money on media, so costumes and all those sorts of things. So getting out and working with
How do we get access as a small business in Jindabyne to get access to?
You'll hear from what we call Jen.
Yeah.
Actually,
Yeah, well, I'll send it out. Yeah. So there's a closed Facebook page that you can get onto to find out information, and then there's also a website that you can go and order the collaterals. So as the chamber, it's all free, so it's all free of charge. As the chamber, you can order 50 posters and provide it to all of your members, or each individual business could go on there and order it all. But I'll make sure that Jen gets the links sent to you guys. So that,
It's got corporate, Go Local first,
Yeah.
and you can put the names of local businesses in there as well.
yeah.
As I say, associations, who have members right around Australia. And if we get it wrong, they'll let us know. And besides that, we've never had any staff, so it's very hard to do anything. At the moment, I've got 5 staff.
Yay.
Really good. We're also running another project about women in business to be green, and it was originally called the Business School for Disruptive Girls. So it was targeting girls at school. And research I did years ago showed 100,000 kids in Australia actually were running real businesses, not pretend. And the rest of the research showed kids at school with behavioural problems often have the same trait, not learning problems, behavioural problems, and not even. They have the same traits as entrepreneurs. They do their own thing. They don't listen. They're easy. They're very social and they're disruptive. I got expelled 6 times. So that's one of the things that we get out of this other project we're running at the moment is getting targeted girls 10 to 18 getting into businesses and doing other things like that. And we've got a third project which is the National Innovation Games, which is really interesting. I don't know if anybody knows what a hackathon is. You get a lot of very bright university students in the room and come up with a problem, and it's really quite fascinating to watch how it works. This one is where you get tens, when we get physically online, you get 10 businesses, so you get 10 businesses in your room. They will each have a team of 10 people working with them, 6 university students, and 4 from a sponsoring organisation like the Australia or someone. And the theme would be saving power, or the theme would be building up international audience, customers, or whatever the theme is. And those 10 teams would then come up with what was best. They would compete with each other, they would present, and there would be a winner. And it's really fascinating. They come up with apps. And actually design the app and have it operating on the same day. They come up with all sorts of crazy things that work. And sometimes some crazy things that don't work. But, so we've got good projects happening out there at the moment. And as I say, for whatever reason, we have the ear of the Prime Minister and the opposition, the Labor Party, have said about the small business. It's called the Labor call. And certainly the government understood that for a long time, going back 10 years, they had the rhetoric in the lips, but when push comes to shove,